I'm
tell
sure you
what
can,
you look
Bill.
like.
Okay, so first, some of the rules. Everyone that wants to talk will be given a chance. Please, no side talking. It's very distracting to those that are trying to understand. I apologize for my voice. I barely have one, but I'm doing my best. So you'll be called upon. You'll come up. You'll raise your hand. You'll be called upon. When you have questions, you can come forward and face everyone and ask your question. Everything needs to be recorded, so we need to be able to hear you up here. Please remember that we're all neighbors and friends, right? So.
Excuse me, Ray. You want to mention that the polls should be open now.
Yeah, the polls open at 6, and they'll be open for 1 hour till 7. Thank you. So, to the inhabitants of Pillsbury Lake District in the town of Webster, Merrimack County, state of New Hampshire, who are qualified to vote in the district affairs are hereby notified that the annual meeting will be held on Wednesday, the 15th of March, 2023, at 6 p.m. and close no earlier than 7 p.m. So Article 1, to vote for the following district offices: Commissioner for one term of 3 years, Commissioner for a term of 2 years, Commissioner for a term of 1 year, Auditor for a term of 1 year, Moderator for a term of 1 year, Clerk for a term of 1 year, and Treasurer for a term of 1 year. So, any questions on that?
Can we hear from the candidates?
Yes, so do we want to start with the board first or the new candidates?
Probably by each one, so Commissioner for 3, Commissioner for 2.
Yeah, no worries. So the Commissioner for 3,
Hi, I'm Andrew Pomeroy. I was here last year as a write-off. I actually lost my race, but
And look at you now.
look at me now. I'm the acting commissioner or chair for the board now. Been here for a year and a half. My wife in the back there, Melissa. Just looking to, didn't seem like there's an open spot for the 3 years, so I have to put my name down. We're gonna be here for at least that long, so looking forward to working with you guys.
okay, so now Commissioner for 2 years.
I'll go first. So I'm Lisa Robinson. I've been a commissioner for 3 years now. Pretty much I wanted to keep going with the commissioner seats. I have a lot of projects ongoing right now. We have the playground that I have ordered. It's coming in actually next week. It comes into the installer. And then there's a lot of work to be done on the playground for that to be put in this year. I've been doing pretty much all the landscaping for the district, trying to save us money. I do the clubhouse and all the rec fields, all the mowing, all of that stuff, so that we're not paying someone to do it. Change all the filters, trying to just save us the money. I've been doing all of that stuff and wanted to just try to continue doing that stuff for us. Pretty much been doing the last remaining stuff for the Concord Drive project. A lot of the paperwork that's gone with that these past couple of months, Andrew can tell you, I'm sure, that we've had to get done. So basically I signed on to do another 2 years just because I wanted to try to get some of those projects that I'm already working on definitely completed and then go from there. Clubhouse is up and going now as well, and I'm hoping to do a little work on that too to try to save us some money.
What do you want me?
Just come up and
All right.
face everyone. Thank you.
Hello. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Good. My name is Mark Rothier. I don't know if everybody knows me. My wife and I moved to the area about 16 months ago. I think the first set of people that introduced us into their homes was Georgette and Stephen. They invited us over for drinks. They shared with us a lot of past community involvement, the regattas, the parties down on Deer Meadow with live bands. It just sort of gave us that sense of community that, you know, my wife and I wanted to be part of. The Kettys have had us over for meals. Thank you, Donna. The sense of community, sort of like Tammy bringing brownies to one of the meetings. It just sort of went a part of the community that we wanted to be part of. I'm in business, work for the Common Man Roadside. I look at a return on investment. I look at what we're at now with Concord Drive, and what that told me was that sense of community posed a big divide. It looked to me like the board at the time split this community up between water users and non-water users. Reading back in those minutes, it looks as if it would have cost the households in this community $25 a month until the loan was paid, for that to be completed, with everybody sharing in that responsibility. And to put that in perspective, I just paid $26 for a pizza at Sal's. So, I mean, it's not a lot of money, but it just seems to me, reading those minutes, it was sold as a huge investment. And now it's saddled with the people who are only the people on the water. It's like 60 individuals are paying that entire bill now. It just seems like that could have gone in a different direction. I think that the community needs more investment. Things like the lake. Michael's got his committee with the lake to de-weed it. I think that benefits everybody in the community. Right now in Webster, if you were to want to build, you have to have a 5-acre lot. Pillsbury Lake enables you to not have to do that. It was set up originally as a water district. I'm gathering now it's not. It's a village district legally. But it still seems to me that those people that live in our community need to band together and help. The reason for Concord Drive is for years there was not that investment. It didn't get stayed up on. So that led to a huge investment. Would it have been necessary anyway? Who knows? And hindsight is 20/20, and anybody can armchair quarterback and say the people who were making the decisions at the time didn't do the right thing. But I think if I'm elected to the board, what I want to see is a sense of community, come back together. Pillsbury Lake needs to be Pillsbury Lake community, not the water users, the non-water users. I chose to run when a current member of this commission sent a team from Auckland to my house to investigate what that board member told them was intentional tampering with the meter. It was an embarrassment for my wife, who was on a Zoom meeting with people from the university system. She had to step off that meeting to let them into our house to look at the meter, where they judged that there was no tampering done at all. So the questions I would have would be, because of that call, which I deemed as petty, my wife had currently just come off the board. Who got the bill for that? I don't think that board member that called them with a bogus accusation paid that bill. I think that bill was paid for by the water users. So again, it's a community paying for things that it didn't need to happen. So if I'm elected, the expectation I have is that community members are going to become involved. There needs to be the committees, there needs to be involvement. I go to the meetings every month and there's 3 or 4 people sitting out in the thing, and then, to me that's wrong. You need to invest in your community. So if I'm elected, you're gonna have full transparency from me, but I would have some expectations that people would help out. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, next is auditor. We have 2 candidates. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner for 1 year. Sorry.
Not to be forgotten. So I'm Michael Malika. I'm running for the one-year commission seat because it's unopposed. So, seriously, my wife and I, Tammy, we bought into our place on Pillsbury Lake last May, and we're on New Hampshire Drive. And by July, we saw the weeds building, and we thought, that's odd, and started talking to neighbors, and that led to talking to former commissioners and current commissioners and finding out. And you know, it seems like there's been quite a bit of tumult in the commission over the recent years. And there needs to be no finger pointing or anything else, but basically what we learned is because of this tumult, we haven't been taking care of our greatest asset, which is the freaking lake. We're named the Pillsbury Lake Village District. So, you know what? Being new to the community and saying, okay, so how do we help? My wife and I kicked in, and we've worked together to start a committee, which many of you are familiar with and have attended. We'll talk more about that in just a little bit. It's been a great way for us to get to know our neighbors, and you know, I'll tell you this, the house we bought is not the house we thought we bought. I mean, this is broken, that had to be fixed, with remodeling, and I swear to God, mud season has chosen our driveway as the center. Having said all that though, the biggest surprise that's been so positive for us is just the nature of this community. Everybody's been so warm, so kind, welcoming. We've had more gifts left on our porch, and it's just amazing. And we've never experienced that. So we're very happy to be here. We're happy to be contributing back, and that's why I'm running for this seat. It was vacated a few months ago. To be perfectly honest, I love doing the committee work, and I would have stayed right there. But I didn't want the commission to be short a member. And just the way this has evolved, I'm more than happy to submit, you know, my application, what do you call it? You know, my candidacy for this one-year seat, and continue to contribute. And so I appreciate the support that we've felt as new neighbors, and as well as for us with the committee, and for me in this seat. So rather than more speech, I would rather turn around and just say thank you for being so welcoming.
Now it's the auditors.
Okay. Good evening, my name's Debbie Grazier. I was on the board. I am no longer on the board. Let's put it that way. I was asked not to. No longer be on the board. I am a tax accountant. I do have my degree in accounting. I have my degree in English. I have many years of auditing, and I thought that I would definitely be possibly help this year with the audit if you so want me to. I'm a QuickBooks Pro advisor. I have been for years. Any questions, just let me know. So, thank you.
My name's Philip Strickmatter. I'm running for auditor. I do have degrees in business and management, accounting. There's a third degree, which doesn't apply to that, but I'm not gonna get into that one. Anyways, I got 14 years experience on the water system as being a commissioner. And I've done a lot of achievements, as some people are aware of, that I was one of the people involved of putting lines in on Manchester Street. Working on the Franklin Pier system, put up a whole new system, which we are under budgeted. I own my own business for 27 years. That's about it, I guess.
Okay, so we don't have anyone running for moderator. Is anyone willing to do that?
What is that?
I think Ray Scott's doing a great job.
Come on, Ray.
It's your fault.
What does that include? Can you explain what your responsibilities for moderator are?
Just to moderate this meeting.
This meeting,
Right.
Next year.
And if
Next
we
year.
had a special meeting, say we had to have a special meeting, like if the dam broke again and we had to call a special meeting or something.
Please don't jinx us.
Well, it's not just this meeting, it could be like, you don't wanna,
Typically, it's just this. So if anyone's willing to run, please throw your name in the hat. And then on clerk, so the same thing with clerk. Is anyone interested in running for clerk this year?
I'll put my name in the hat.
You're gonna be there anyway.
Okay, and then treasurer.
my name is Jamie Dow. I was the treasurer from 2014 through 2019, and I was treasurer last year. I have been employed as a municipal accounts auditor at the Department of Revenue. I just celebrated my 29th year. I like to read, I like numbers, and I have gained so many friendships sitting on this board and meeting new people. That's my primary reason for doing it, is just to meet new people and make new friends, and support my community.
Okay, so again, the polls are open until 7, for those who haven't voted yet.
So will Allison automatically win then?
Some of us put in our ballots already.
So if one person voted for her, yes.
I didn't, but I do now.
But the other thing is that people can be appointed after the meeting.
I wrote her in, so
Okay.
if nobody else can get in, I will.
Keep it out of it. That's it, all right.
I'll be enthusiastic later.
I wrote you in and then asked you, yeah.
Oh, Jen put you in, Greg, now you're on the hook.
Okay, so Article 2. To see if the district will vote to raise and appropriate $40,660 for the following purposes. Stipends, commissioners, $9,000, auditor, $500, clerk, $1,000, treasurer, $6,000, moderator, $50. And then under general expenditures, legal fees, $1,000, building maintenance, $1,000, property grounds maintenance, $4,000, insurance, $4,500, office expenses, $2,500, permit to operate the dam, $400, I'm sorry, parks and recreation, $500, property maintenance equipment, $250, tax anticipation interest, $10, electricity, $4,000, gas, $5,000, water, $950. Are there any questions on this article? Are there any motions?
Motion to accept.
Motion to accept the article?
Second. Second it.
Can you, when you do that, can you please state your name for the records?
Second, Georgia Vasselbeck.
Who was first? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that passes.
What was it?
Article 2, I mean, the budget. Okay, Article 3, to see if the district will vote to raise and appropriate $135,300 for the purpose of operating the water department. Water distribution and treatment, electricity, $24,000, gas, $1,000, licensed operator service, $31,800, water meter software, $2,500, building maintenance, $2,000, property maintenance, $1,500, system maintenance, $70,000, water testing, $2,500. Are there any questions on this article? Is there a motion
Motion to
to
approve.
approve?
Second.
Is it a motion or a question?
We had a question.
Question or motion?
Question.
I made a motion, somebody has a question.
I don't know if it's a motion or a question. My name's Erin Paquette.
Can you please stand up so everyone can hear you? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Erin Paquette. I was wondering if we can take $13,000 from the general fund, which was an overpayment of last year's taxes, and apply it to this warrant article to reduce the tax burden this year.
Do you mind if I ask my question? Do you want to make a motion to raise and appropriate 135.3 for the purpose of the operating the water department with whatever amount you just said to come from unassigned fund balance?
Yes.
That's what you need to say.
Okay. So I would like to make a motion to see if the district will vote to raise and appropriate $135,300 for the purpose of operating the water department. $13,000 to come from the unassigned fund balance.
You know we're on the water system article, not the operating budget article.
Yep.
So you're using taxpayer money to offset the water system.
Well, isn't this taxpayer money that we overpaid last year?
No.
No?
That money goes back to the general fund.
Okay, that's what I meant.
Yes, but what I'm saying is, based on your conversation with me before,
Yeah.
I don't think your intention is to take tax dollars that were overpaid, that are now part of unassigned fund balance, because you're not in favor of tax dollars offsetting the water system. That's what you're doing by doing this motion.
I mean, we
Just so
all
you
know
know.
our tax dollars are paying for a good chunk of this.
But you're gonna be paying, that means that the water system, the water invoices are not going to be paying for a lot of it. It's gonna come from everybody else's general fund money that was raised in taxes in a previous year.
Okay, so how do I get that $13,000 to offset our taxes?
You would have it offset the article we already voted on.
Oh, fantastic.
Well, no, you can, that's why I'm saying, based on your email conversation with me, I thought that's what you were doing, but you can ask for reconsideration of Article 2. You can make a motion after we vote on Article 3 to reconsider Article 2.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I make a
We have a
motion
motion?
to approve.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Please, you have a question?
No, call the question.
Okay,
Can-
who made
Can
the
you,
first?
when you, please
Donna
state
Kenny.
your name when you make.
Donna Kenny.
Thank you, because they need to.
Yeah,
Right.
forget it, sorry. I'm pretty well known now.
Who was the second?
Thank you. So that article passes. Oh, no, I'm sorry. You got to vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Now it passes. It's my first time.
I'd like to make a motion that we reopen the discussion on Article 2. Per Jamie's suggestion.
So vote for reconsideration.
Reconsideration.
It's a motion to vote for
Reconsideration.
reconsideration on Article 2.
Okay, so we have a vote, a motion to reconsider Article 2.
Second.
Beat it to it?
All in favor?
Aye.
Who was the first,
Any,
Joe?
all opposed?
Nay.
First, Joe?
The ayes have it.
So was that article approved amended with the 13?
Let's open for discussion.
No, you have to make a motion now.
Aaron, if I may, I can clarify it.
Okay.
So, there was an extra, it's approximately $13,000 extra that was appropriated for the water systems funds that we didn't need. So the way it is written, and I agree with Aaron, the way it is written, it almost looks as though we paid ourselves more, paid the water system more money than we needed to for last year. But what happens to that $13,000 is if it's not taken out to the water system, it just sits in the general balance, almost a surplus. So it's going to be allocated to other funds if it's sitting in the balance, we're able to use it. And to your point on whether we should change our budget, we'd still have to keep the budget the same because we do have different costs, and we've risen our budget a little bit on Article 2 to offset some of those costs as far as like the electric bill and the power bill. So that's still gonna come out of the same jar, being the general fund. This is just appropriating $40,660 of that general fund needs to be used for maintenance. Does that clarify it a little bit as a surplus?
Yeah, but I want to take the 13,000 that we overpaid last year and reduce our taxes this year.
That's what this would do.
Yeah.
Well, it's gonna not go into the water balance if the water balance didn't use the money, it's not gonna go into the water balance, if that makes sense, because it's still sitting in the same general balance fund before we pay for the water balance. As is the 135.3 is sitting, it'll be sitting in the general balance until it's paid over to the water balance. We're just anticipating paying 135.3.
So although this money is part of our general unassigned fund balance, and it would offset the tax rate for everybody's tax bill, it is important, and I've seen it happen too many times, you don't want to draw down your general fund balance too much either. Because say we did have an emergency that we don't have budgeted for, or we don't have a capital reserve fund, or we don't have enough money in it for, we would have to write into the Department of Revenue to spend more than our annual meeting voted us for appropriations for the year. And you have to have an offsetting revenue source. You can't raise more money in taxes. You have to have something in revenue to offset what happens. So, say, and I'm not trying to jinx us on anything, say one of the pump houses catches on fire. Granted, we have insurance, but while we're waiting for that insurance, we have to write into Department of Revenue and get permission to spend that money, because that's gonna be above and beyond what we budgeted. And we won't necessarily get all that money back in insurance proceeds. So you do want to be conservative in what you're using for fund balance too. I'm not saying I'm in favor or not in favor of it, just to give people another perspective.
Can I ask how much is, Debbie Berthier, can I ask how much is in the fund balance now?
I can tell you what our fund balance was from our audit last year, from our MS 5.
That's a year ago. I'm talking
Correct,
about.
and that's the last audited numbers that we have, and that's what is used for tax rate setting time, so that's what would get used for this year. We're always a year behind.
I'm asking how much is in the fund right now?
Which fund?
In the
General fund?
That's our general bank balance, though. She's talking about fund balance. Our unassigned fund balance, as you know, last year was negative 133,934
I don't know
because
that,
of
I'm sorry.
Carver Drive.
What is it right now? I just asked the
As
question.
of the end of last year, it was negative 133.
So what is it
That's
negative?
because of the Concord Drive project. Well, you signed it, so, I mean, that's
Excuse
why I
me.
thought you knew that. You signed the MS 535.
I am talking about 20.
We don't have one right now. That's
You
what
don't know
I'm
how much
saying.
is in the account, how much is
I
over?
can tell- yes,
The
I
Budget versus over and what was left over. That's
I
what
can
was
tell you
asking.
what is in our general fund, but that is not our unassigned fund balance. That is our bank balance. They are very different things.
I am not asking what our bank balance is. I'm asking how much between what was budgeted and what was spent, is there an overage or an under for the end of this year?
There is an overage. It's the number that Aaron.
$13,064.
Okay, that's all.
That was appropriate, well, raised for the water system, but not used for the water
That's
system.
what was raised last year in taxes. That was
Right.
that's our appropriations versus what we spent.
Right.
So what we appropriated last year, then what we spent, that's the balance.
Right.
That's the difference
So I
that was
think that's what you
remaining.
wanted to know.
I wanted to know if there was any rolling balance on those ones.
Joe?
From
Yeah, my
prior
question,
years.
Jamie, could we, you said it's $13,064? Could that money be used as a one-time extra payment on the dam bond, rather than putting it, it can't, why not?
Can't be prepaid. The dam can't be prepaid.
Tiny little interest.
Why would you do that when the town is
Well, you get it paid off quicker, that's all, that's my,
You can't prepay interest
well, you
rate
can't
is high.
prepay, you can't prepay, that's fine.
Thomas McWilliams. Let's look at Article number 6. Turn your paper over. See, the district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $22,000 for lake de-weeding. I would propose that we take the $13,000 and make it part of the $22,000, which would actually reduce the amount that we would need to pay for.
I just want to clarify, that's not $13,000 that's extra, it's just money that's been allocated as a surplus. We're intending to, just as we just talked about, that 135.3 for the water budget, that's, as far as allocated to 13,000, we do still intend to pay it. If that makes sense, in the next year, we're intending to pay 135.3, it's not going to disappear, that money's still going to get allocated, if that makes sense. I don't think we're trying to find a home for the 13,000, am I wrong?
Right, we got homes for it.
Oh, but yeah, I'm sorry, unless I'm incorrect.
I think Aaron is trying to utilize the unassigned fund balance to offset everybody's tax bill as a whole, for the whole community, not.
But our unassigned fund balance right now is negative 138.
It was as of 12/31/2021. We don't have 12/31/2022 numbers, nor would we have them yet because we're not done Concord, like, the stuff for Concord Drive, we don't have. Our fund balance isn't just
So
what
the-
we have. We had money in the bank on 12/31/2021.
I see. So it's a matter of.
That's where people get confused. It's not, the bank balance and the fund balance are not the same thing.
But we're not trying to find a home for $13,000. It's not an extra amount of money that we're trying to find a home for. I just want to clarify, because these are all going to be independent warrant articles too. So I agree with you that we could offset a lot of different things with $13,000, but I don't think that's what we're.
Fund balance includes unpaid bills, it's not just, unpaid water bills, it's not just.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to clarify.
This lady's point is that there's $13,000 and change, and hasn't been allocated, and I'm saying that we could use that for a reduction in the lake de-weeding, which would reduce our taxes.
It doesn't matter which article, it's still gonna decrease taxes if we use
Yeah,
it.
it doesn't matter which.
Yeah, it doesn't matter which article, it's still gonna decrease the tax rate.
Yeah, it's going to decrease the tax rate, so I'm in favor of this lady's
If that article
proposal to
passed.
decrease the tax rate, regardless of how we do it.
That would be lowering our budget.
No, it won't lower our budget, we'll still have the same total voted appropriations. It's just that when it comes to raising taxes, we'll raise that less in taxes for the year.
This is a separate item from what we already voted on in Article 2 and Article 3.
We're back on Article 2
jumping
right now,
ahead.
though.
Yeah, but I would have to ask the person who made the motion on Article 2 to withdraw their motion and hold on to it until we get to Article 6.
Well, we'll have to finish all the questions first,
Okay?
then vote on it, and then go from there.
So in the past, when there's been a fund balance, the commissioners assign it to reduce taxes in the fall when the taxes are set. That's what the town selectmen do also. And I would suggest, since the district is always short on cash, we not pre-earmark something until it's time to really dig in and get the money. And I would request that the commissioners in this case assign that 13,000, or maybe it's 20,000 at that point, if other monies aren't spent, to reduce the tax rate when, at tax setting time in October.
Have another question?
That's sort of what I was asking for.
I'm just curious as to what that 13,000, how much that would be per.
Name and
Peterborough, just 523 Dinner. How much per household that would be in a tax reduction?
Right.
2 cents.
$50.
But it's money we already spent last year. We paid taxes for it, but we never used it. So it's just sitting
Well, what I'm hearing is that we might have.
can we please only have conversations up to here, not side conversations? Thank you.
Julie may have an answer.
Can somebody answer my question? Does anybody know?
No one has a calculator. Christie Holland, did I hear you say that this was money that was voted for the water system that Aaron's asking about?
Is that right? That's what my understanding is.
See, that's what I kept hearing.
So it's tax dollars that were
Right,
raised
but
from everybody.
it wasn't voted in to use on the water system. Okay.
The
Just
general
making
fund,
sure.
I see, the general fund, not the water fund. I see,
Right,
you're
when you
right.
said water, I was like,
And I use
well,
water as an
why?
example too, that's
Yeah.
all.
Anyhow. Saving it seems smart.
Jamie has a comment.
After what Dave made me think of something and looking at the 535 from last year, we have not yet taken out the bond for Concord Drive, which means our MS 535 is probably going to have a negative unassigned fund balance again, which I can tell you regardless of whether your motion passes or not, DRA is gonna disallow it if we have a negative fund balance. If we don't have the fund balance to do it, we can't use it to offset it. So that piece, that revenue source would go away anyways. The reason that we have a negative fund balance is because we've been working on the Concord Drive project, but we actually haven't taken out the bond. So we don't have, even though we've been getting reimbursements out for the, what do you call it, loan forgiveness, even though we've been getting the loan forgiveness part back, it's a very small amount compared to what we're actually taking out in bond proceeds. So until we get those bond proceeds, we're going to have a negative fund balance. We have not yet finalized the Concord Drive project, so I believe that our 12/31/22 fund balance is gonna be negative again. Like I said, it's a paper negative fund balance. It's not, that doesn't mean we don't have money in the bank to run the district.
So what happens every year if we overpay on taxes? Because of that one article where part of the money comes from taxes and part of the money comes from water fees, we could collect more money than we voted on. So what happens to that extra money every year?
It sits in the general fund until, like Dave said, come tax rate setting time, I update our revenues and I say to the commissioners, I didn't, this year, because we have a negative fund balance, we couldn't use any fund balance to offset the tax rate. Nor do I believe we will be using it again this fall, because this fall we'll be using the 12/31/2022 fund balance. So eventually, once we actually take out that bond, there will be a positive fund balance figure again for the commissioners in future years to utilize that money to offset taxes.
I guess I don't understand that part, because the Concord Drive project wasn't supposed to come from taxation.
It doesn't matter, we still have a negative fund balance because we're paying bills out of our general fund. We're paying bills that we are not fully reimbursed for yet. We will get, when the bond is actually taken out and the bond bank gives us, the state, sorry, we're going through the state revolving loan fund, when they give us the actual money, it replenishes what we've paid out. We are, like I said, getting some money back as we do things. We fill out invoices and they send it to us, but that's only the loan forgiveness portion of it, which is not a big percentage. I forget the exact amount, was it?
157,000?
Yeah, it's not a lot.
157, yeah.
Joe Plotski, 12 Franklin Pierce. Is there a motion seconded and all on the floor?
There was a motion to reconsider Article 2.
Is it seconded?
Yes.
Let's vote, so we can move on.
No more questions?
Call the question.
So,
What is the question?
reconsider, Article 2.
Michael
We
Malik,
voted
I
to
move that we
reconsider
let the
all of it.
initial vote stand.
I second it. Sandy and Steph.
We have to vote
We have to take a vote for her,
for the,
well, you have to ask her, is she putting that motion
are you
forward?
still putting the motion forward to move $13,000 from the fund balance, offset taxes?
It sounds like it's not possible, so I guess no.
Let's move on.
Okay, so.
Move on.
All right, so I have moved that we move on and accept the initial vote.
So we reconsidered Article 2, now we have to reapprove
We
Article.
have to approve it again, so.
Which is
You
what I
don't
said.
have to read, you don't have to read the whole thing,
Article
just the
So
top part.
Article 2, to see if the district will vote to raise and appropriate $40,600 for the following purposes.
You don't have to.
And I'm not reading them all.
No, he just has to read that top part.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I will
second it.
Andrew Pomeroy.
Okay, wait a minute, motion, Donna, second, Andrew. Sorry, guys.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Trying to write that.
I move to restrict Articles 1 and 2.
Thank you. I second. Donna Kenny?
So all in favor?
Beg your pardon, 2 and 3.
2 and 3? We have 1 we can't do.
I'll second it. I second the motion to restrict reconsideration of Article 2 and 3. Somebody second it? I second, Georgette?
Georgette second.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So Article 4, to see if the district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $23,469 for dam repair bond payment for 2023. It is anticipated that $10,000 will come from the town of Webster. Should the town's article not pass, the entire amount will come from taxation. This article is non-lapsing until 12/31/2024. Commissioners recommend. Any questions? Motion?
Make a motion to move to Article 4 and
No one else? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Who was the second?
Remember, go to 10 town meeting. Yeah. Everybody should attend town meetings.
Oh, true, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
To
And
bring up-
it's this Saturday.
It makes a difference to our
Yes,
taxes.
it does. Good point.
Okay, Article 5, to see if the district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $27,978 for the water filtration SRF loan payment for 2023. Questions?
make a motion to accept Article 5 and put it for vote.
I second it, Sandy Estep.
Question before, there's no commissioner recommended on there? Is that just a typo?
No, it doesn't have to be. Only special warrant articles are supposed to have the commissioner's recommendations on them.
I had the same comment. I said the same thing. Hang on a second.
Special warrant articles are like additions to capital reserve funds or withdrawing from the capital reserve funds. This is what's considered statutorily an individual warrant article, which means that special warrant articles, the money can't be used for anything else.
Other questions?
My name is Susan Lawrence, and a fairly new resident to New Hampshire Drive. My question to you is, if you appropriate funds on Article 3 for water distribution and treatment, what are the funds covering on Article filtration, Article 5? What does treatment cover, what does filtration cover?
Excuse me, as an article is moved forward and seconded for vote.
I will answer your question, though, this is a loan repayment. The SRF filtration is a loan repayment. We do have a standing budget for what we do on a regular, this is paying back the loan for the SRF.
So it's a previous,
Yes,
Exactly.
Versus operational costs.
The SRF is state revolving fund. So that means it's, we are.
I got no choice.
They're gonna find out if we don't pay it.
like I said, I'm new.
Appreciate the question. So all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Article 5 passes. Article 6, to see if the district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $22,000 for Lake Weeding. This article is non-lapsing until 12/31/24. Commissioners recommend. Questions?
I make a motion to approve it. Mark Rossi. Second.
We have a question.
What are we spending $22,000 on?
The
I mean, a couple of years ago, we had the bags you put out in the filter in the lake.
May I address it?
Are you putting chemical, what are you doing?
So, let me reintroduce myself quickly. I'm Michael Malika. My wife and I are new to New Hampshire Drive this year. When we saw, after we moved in May, by July, you could hardly cross the lake in a boat because of the weeds. We started researching and digging in, and so last August, I went to a commissioners meeting at that time. I was not at that time an interim commissioner. Visited, and I suggested we form a committee to investigate methods and pricing to de-weed the lake properly. And they agreed that a committee should be formed, and I volunteered to chair it. So if I may just read this quickly for you folks, because it presents all the details of the numbers, and I want you to be comfortable with them. So as quickly as I can here. So we held five meetings of the committee since August, and an average of about 12 members of the community have attended. In all, 25 different members of the community have attended at one time or another. I'm the chair, Commissioner Pomeroy is the co-chair. This committee has accomplished a lot. We examined the history of lake treatments from data back to 2004 and learned that the average amount spent per year for the 16 years from 2004 through the last treatment, which was in 2019, is an inflation-adjusted $10,438. So that's per year. We found that chemical treatments are more effective than mechanical, because mechanical is like mowing the bottom of the lake. It disrupts the entire ecology of the lake, and it's like mowing. It's back right away. So we studied chemicals that have been used in the lake, including these smudge pots that have been tried at one point, and we determined that the effective chemical to use at this time is a chemical called sonar, and sonar works kind of like if you were a farmer in the Midwest and you use Roundup on your beans, everything else dies, and your beans grow fine. It's because these chemicals are designed in such a way that they only disrupt the growing cycle of certain particular plants. So this stuff, you can literally pour it in a glass and drink it. It's non-toxic to humans, but it'll kill the weeds that we're seeking to get rid of. So with that in mind, we also looked at Solitude, which is the company that we've been working with for the past 20 years. We spoke with the state to find out if there were other companies that we might choose from to make sure that if we can get competitive pricing, we would. Solitude is the only company in the state of New Hampshire licensed to do this kind of chemical treatment. Okay, so the plan is to do 3 treatments in May, June, and July. They're going to treat 25 acres of the lake. So, but the way this works is they'll take a 25-acre pass in and around the lake. So cumulatively, it covers 25 acres, but it's not like you can take out a square and say, here's the 25. So the way it disperses through the water column, what we're going to find is the expectation is that the sonar is going to really rid the lake of our problem weeds. So the anticipated cost in our contract with Solitude is $36,064. So just over $36,000 to do this treatment. We have an existing capital fund of money set aside in prior years when no treatments were done. And again, nothing's been done effectively, a full treatment, since 2017. Those little pots that they put out in 2019 was really a half-baked effort, but beyond that, keep moving. So the point is, that means we require another $18,400 to do this treatment this year. 17 plus from the past, 18 this plus. Now, the only thing is that the permitting process starts in like November, December, and then it has to be submitted to the state by February, very early March. So that's before we meet. So in this proposed article, there's also about $3,500 to make sure we have enough money in case we need to do more permitting for next year. So there's a little bit of slack in there. So bottom line is, the way that they're planning to do this, the most acres that's ever been treated in the past was 15. We're doing 25. We're doing it 3 times this year. It's very aggressive. The plan is to knock out these weeds because it's an infestation at this point. The lake is virtually unusable. So, since it's our greatest asset, we want to do this once, hit it hard. The expectation is cost of treatments in subsequent years may be something. I'm not going to tell you it's not, but if you hit it hard, now you're doing maintenance on occasion, year to year, maybe skip some years, but it's never going to be 25 acres all over again is the expectation, because this is an effective chemical. So we're trying to do this right. So bottom line is, we're trying to knock it out, get ahead of it, do it right. Nothing's been done for 5 years. On an inflation-adjusted basis, we're only spending what would have been 3.5 years of money, not 5 years, which is since the last time we've done it. So we're really actually being pretty thrifty about this for what we're gonna get. Now, I'm gonna pivot here. I have the permission of the committee to move forward because I wanna share with you that we're gonna come up in just a couple minutes on Article 9 as well. And this is another thing that I had proposed through the Lower Lake Committee. And the reason I propose this is that one of the things, we've tried so hard to get community involvement in this, and there have been certain people that have said, you know, why do I care about the weeds? I don't live on the lake. Well, first off, it affects all our property values incredibly. It is our asset. Having said that, though, you know, listening to that complaint, what we've done is we've proposed in the article that's upcoming in just a moment to set aside $1,500 for any legal fees, any investigations, any permitting, anything, because what we want to do is increase access to the lake for those people in our district who don't live on it. We're looking at all sorts of ideas, putting in fishing docks, improving the ramp. People have talked about restoring the Centennial Beach. We're talking about maybe a boathouse where people off the lake can store their canoes and kayaks so they don't have to drag them from their house. They can come, open the boathouse and pull it on the lake and enjoy it. Put out moorings so people that aren't on the lake can, you know, hang their pontoon boat on a mooring and then just come to the lake and enjoy it. So we're trying, and those are just immediate ideas. There've got to be 1,000 more. Just today, in this meeting, somebody talked about regattas, live bands. How about, you know, let's really increase access, usability, the clubhouse. Let's all just rekindle the community spirit here, including lake access. So that's the plan here. So I want you to be aware, if you're going to support the de-weeding article, the point is that we're trying to make it accessible for everybody, so you'll be going, hey, I'm sure glad we cleaned up this puddle because now I can actually get across it. That's the plan. So I appreciate your patience, but now you know why the numbers.
Okay, so we have a motion to move this. We did have one question before that motion, so.
Question to move this?
We've already moved the,
Mark made a motion to move.
we've already made the motion to move.
Second.
And seconded. But Peter had raised his hand before he made the motion.
I thought we should.
Are you looking for a second?
No discussion.
That's not fair.
We should discuss it.
Okay, well,
That's not fair.
Is that not accurate?
No discussion.
Yeah, that wasn't enough time.
Should I withdraw my motion?
Yeah.
okay, so
Yeah,
then we're gonna revote.
About 24,000 bucks.
Okay.
Questions come first.
Just
I'm
don't-
following the rules.
Just don't acknowledge Mark's
The
motion.
statement.
Don't acknowledge.
I'm following the statute.
If you don't
Go ahead,
want,
Joe.
you don't have to withdraw.
Joe Plosky, 12 Ranger Spears Drive. I've lived on the lake 8 years, not 8 months. I have a hard time. Is this 22,000, is that the whole three shots?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Where's it coming from?
What do you mean?
Where's the money coming from?
We're voting for articles
Taxation.
to.
Is it going to continue to come from taxation?
Unless we get.
We have, one of our other big assets is that clubhouse sitting down at the end of the lake.
You can vote for or against the clubhouse, next article.
You had your time, I have the floor. You know, it's a big asset.
You're welcome.
It's a money-making. People know how to spend money, they don't know how to make money. Except raise taxes. I can't afford to have my taxes raised. I don't know anybody else can. I live on a fixed income. And again, you said, well, you know, you'll get some, it's beneficial to all of us. Allison, I can't sell my house for the same price people who live on the lake can I? That's it.
You didn't spend it.
I can't, well, I'm not
I
like
sell it
that.
for less.
Well, we pay more taxes if we live on the lake.
Well,
We
hey,
have a
you
higher half
pay for the
tax.
privilege.
Well, then we deserve
So
it.
pay for the privilege of a clean lake. My point is, you know what, fix the clubhouse first. Fix the clubhouse first, then take the revenue from fixing the clubhouse and use it to pay You can rent the clubhouse, heck, before somebody came up.
Please stop the side conversations.
Before
One
somebody.
person has the floor. Right, Joe.
Thank you. Before somebody came up with this, you know, I've never had a problem in 8 years paddling across that lake. Never had a problem. Excuse me, I'm not making snide remarks to you. Don't make them to me.
Excuse me, the polls are gonna close in 3 minutes, so if you haven't voted yet,
I just
3 minutes
don't
to vote
see,
if you haven't voted.
I just don't see spending $22,000 to de-weed the lake. That's my personal opinion. You all have a right to vote the way you want, and I'm sure you will. But I would rather see the clubhouse fixed and some other ways to raise money done before. And this body, this astute body, is here to provide water for the people who are on the water, not to care for the lake. And we do have lots of assets. We have a 300-acre game preserve, we have ball fields, we have a lot of assets in this community, not just the lake. And if you fix the lake, you take all the weeds out, other people are gonna start coming onto the lake that don't live on the lake, but that's fine. I'm done. Vote your conscience.
Dave Plum, Centennial Drive. Back in 2006, the dam washed out. After that, we spent $500,000, or close to $500,000, to rebuild it and repair the structure. The purpose of that was to provide the lake for the community and the town and others who want to use it. We have a state-run boat launch, so anybody in the world can use our lake, and a lot of people do that don't live in the community. $22,000 over the period of time we've spent is peanuts compared to the value if the lake dried up.
Hi, Phil Strickmatter. Joe, I'm gonna make a comment directly to you. If nothing is done with the lake, say in years, all the weeds grow, home evaluation's gonna go down on the lake. Then your tax rate's gonna go up in price.
And they're gonna go down,
No, but in order, what is expended has to be somewhere.
I'm sorry.
Yours next.
You had his hand up first.
Yours next.
I don't have a question.
Okay, go ahead. Thought you were raising your hand.
If you don't live on the lake, can you put your house up for
Jennifer.
sale?
Jennifer.
say your name, John.
Say your names.
We're, it's being recorded.
Go with it,
Say your name.
My name's Jennifer Buck and I live on Deer Meadow Road.
Thank you.
Anyone who does not live on the lake, when you sell your house, your realtor's gonna state on that sale, lake access. Because that's what you've got, and that is a plus point. So you may not live on the lake, but you've got access, and a lot of people look for that.
The polls are closed.
Move to the motion.
No.
Can I vote? I mean, those of you who don't know me, I've lived here at Pillsbury Lake for 50 years. My kids grew up here. I plan on retiring here, am retired right now, and my thought process is I'm going out in a box, that's why I'm leaving Pillsbury Lake. I remember Pillsbury Lake when I moved here. True, that's 50 years ago, but as I lived here, I've seen the lake go downhill, downhill, downhill. I would say 15, 20 years ago, I could swim the width of Pillsbury Lake without any weeds. And there are others, I don't know if they're still here, but they know and have been, here's one there. He remembers swimming on the lake back and forth with no weeds. And I'd like to see that happen. And I want everybody to vote yes for that article.
Jamie Dow, I do not live on the lake. However, I do support de-weeding. I use the lake. Eventually we'll get to the other article about lake access, which I hope people will support. I live on a private road up in the woods on almost 9 acres. I can't see the lake, but I do know that my value of my home is going to go down if there is not a lake and it's not a nice lake. Right now, if Michael and I want to take our kayaks out, we go to Ray and Allison's, we go to Christie's. You know, if there's different access, maybe that is better for people like myself that don't live directly on the lake. I've built great friendships, so I know who to ask, can I come put my kayak in at your house? But, you know, I do believe that it is important for us to keep up with DVD the lake.
Any other questions? So do we have a motion?
Motion to vote.
Second. Mark Rozier. I was gonna make the motion.
Jim?
Who was first? Mark?
Phil was first.
Oh. Okay.
He's been trying. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Okay, it passes. Article 7, to see if the district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $2,000 to be added to the Land Survey Capital Reserve Fund. Commissioners recommend.
What is that?
Any questions?
What's our balance in there? Well, Phil Street, what's our balance in there at the moment?
It is land survey, 12,122.42. We still need more.
What's, can I, Debbie Berthier, what is the estimate that we're looking at for the?
Dave,
the
Plum,
survey?
can you speak to that? Was it 40,000?
No, it was in 2010, it was 20,000.
In 2010.
Pardon?
In 2010, it was
In
20,000?
2010, it was 20,000, so inflate that by the past 13 years, you're probably looking at 30. And surveyors are really hard to come by.
Especially here.
Kevin Coyle, Centennial Drive, new to the community, just educate me just on what the land survey capital fund reserve is for. I think you kind of just answered it, so.
Yeah, so back in 1993, Phil?
92.
1988, somewhere around there. And then again in 2010, we cut the 300 acre for timber. And in both those cases, we got caught in a land dispute with a landowner of 50 acres on the far side of that. So that last instant cost us probably $75,000 in revenue. So to avoid that in the future, before that land's cut again, that survey needs to be done and re-recorded.
Very well, thank you.
Can I get your name again? I'm sorry.
My name's Kevin, last name's Coyle, C-O-Y-L-E, 38
you.
Centennial Drive.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Tom McWilliams. So there was a cutting in 1993 and a cutting in 2010. When is the next cutting expected to be?
Minimum of 25 years. And
So you're looking roughly at
35?
2035? So you're building up a war chest so that you can do a survey in 2035, so you don't have to get into a dispute with the landowner.
Well, the sooner the survey is done, the better, because if we don't need to wait till 2030, till we're ready to cut to do the survey. The survey needs to be done as soon as we have the funds available, because there'll probably be a land dispute that'll take more time in the courts to clear.
If I may, I'd like to share as well that the commissioners did debate this particular article extensively before putting the warrant together, and we actually halved the amount that was appropriated last year into this fund. So knowing that we have a bit more horizon, and I do agree sooner is better, but knowing we have a bit of a horizon, we're trying to accumulate a proper amount, but over a little more time.
Any other questions? we have a motion to move this?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second. Lisa Robinson.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? It passes. Article 8, to see if the district will vote to change the purpose of the recreational equipment CRF to the Parks and Recreation CRF. To name the commissioners as agents and to expend and further raise and appropriate the sum of $1,500 to be added to said fund. Commissioners recommend. A two-thirds vote is required. Questions?
Dave, come again. Maybe what's our fund balances? Is there a fund
The balance in this fund, the balance in this fund.
Generally, in all of the reserve funds, it could.
So, I don't have a total just because of the way they've been giving to us, but de-weeding is $17,335. Emergency ETF is $51,399, I'm just rounding. Land survey, $12,122. Legal, $4,001. Recreation equipment ETF, $2,006. And water line maintenance, $758.
Thank you.
So this recreation fund, is this the fund where the money for the playground equipment went? This recreation fund, we voted a bunch of money for playground equipment last year that no one's seen, so.
Yep.
Where is, if there's only 2,000 left in the recreation fund, what happened to all that money for the playground equipment?
So the playground and equipment went into the general fund, and the playground is coming next week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it'll be installed as soon as we can get the equipment here when the snow melts, and, but we just got emails that it was on back order, which a lot of things are. So we were hoping to get it in the fall. We unfortunately didn't make it before the snow fell, so we had to wait until this spring. But that money for that is in the general fund. This is just to put some more money. We're gonna need a little more fencing to finish it off, some landscaping, and instead of equipment, we put it as Parks and Rec in case there's anything else that comes up that we might need, either because like the insurance company, we have to do specific things to make sure we're in compliance with Primex and that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Under this, Georgette Batchelor. Under this amount of money, are we talking anything for the clubhouse at this point?
I didn't hear.
Clubhouse.
Is the clubhouse in there as part of the recreational piece?
It's not. We had the 30,000 last year that we're still working with, and he started that this week. He put his trailer there, so he's starting to work on that. Hopefully all that will be done soon and we can get the permit to operate again.
Can we ask what they're doing, please, at this point?
So his first steps, I think, were gonna be the bathrooms are the biggest one. He needs to rip out all of the bathrooms because of all the wood that's needs to be exposed and fixed and all of that. And the bathrooms are the first thing that he's gonna be redoing. Yeah.
Sandy Estep, I have a question. Are we doing both bathrooms, or are we gonna make one big bathroom and a handicap bathroom in there?
It's cheaper just to redo what's already there, just rip it out and put new stuff in. It was cheaper than to just
Can
make
you
one
make
bathroom,
into
because
a
then it was
handicap
all a
zone?
whole bunch of plumbing that needed to happen if we did that, so, yeah.
Any other questions? Sandy and Allison, can you help count? This requires a 2/3 vote, so.
We need to count for this when he
When-
asks
when-
for the hand.
I'm just gonna get up because I need
You
to
just count your
stretch.
side of the room and she'll count this side of the room. I just need a
So
count.
do we have a motion to move this?
Why don't we just do a voice vote and see if there's any nays? then
It's a
we're
2/3
done.
vote.
It's a
We have to-
2/3 vote. We have
they
to have a
raise
hand
their
count.
hand.
I'll make a motion, Glenn Estep.
Glenn.
I'll second.
Sorry.
I'll second it, John Kenny.
Okay, so all in favor, please raise your hands.
I think so.
Did anybody count us too?
Anybody counts?
That's okay.
She's got it.
What do you got, Sandy?
I have 19.
19?
Okay, we've got it, so all opposed?
Okay. Now, her hand's down. What do you got for a count? Okay. Yeah, there were no zeros, so it's fine. Passed. I'm sorry, 51? Yep, 70.
Okay, Article 8, to see if the district will vote to change the purpose of the recreation equipment, CRF.
We just.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm just done, it passed. Article 9, to see if the district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,500 to investigate opportunities to increase and improve Pillsbury Lake access for those members of the district who do not live immediately on the lake. This sum is intended to pay for any legal inquiries or permitting costs for those methods proposed by the Love of Our Lake Committee and agreed upon by the PLVD commissioners. This article is non-lapsing until 12/31/2024. Commissioners recommend. Any questions?
May I make a statement for everybody's understanding? So again, this is just a small amount of money. Again, if we have things like making sure that we have handicap access or things that we need to look into and get legal advice, it can be done right. But the committee is intending to explore all sorts of options this year, do the deep digging, do the planning, and then before this vote next year would be proposals for specific access projects like building that boathouse or restoring that beach, or by then we'll know the costs and it'll be properly planned. So all this money's gonna do is just allow us to do proper investigations where it's necessary.
Questions?
Erin Pocket. I'm curious about the beach that used to be on Centennial. Is that land that Pillsbury Lake still owns, and is it like sandy, or is it all overgrown?
It is, but it is still owned.
Everything's overgrown. The land part.
Because I've lived here 26 years and I don't remember a beach on Centennial.
So next to Sandy's house, there was the beach, there's the beach down at that house.
Yeah.
East the next line, I believe there's one by the, where else, but there's one by the park, right?
No, Centennial Beach is on, yeah, you're calling Centennial Beach on Centennial Drive. If you are standing past Allison.
Right next door, right?
Right next door to Allison, you look and there's a lot, okay? 2 lots, in fact. What's by the road is overgrown, but if you were to walk through, you would see that there is a beach there. At one time, we had a beach house there, and it ended up that it was falling down, so we had the fire department come in, and they used it for training purposes. And since then, there is nothing there now. But it is a beautiful beach, to be honest with you, if you had young children, because it goes down very slowly. So that, that is a positive thing if you have young children. And it's also a good place to put your canoes in because it's shallow to get started with canoes.
Is there a
Could
foundation?
you please state your name for the record?
No, I don't believe there was a
Foundation left from the boathouse that burned down, they have burned down?
Did you ask a question? Who asked the question?
I asked.
Oh, okay.
Who was the gentleman, what's your name that was?
David Sweet.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I just had a comment. I'm all for improving access to the lake. I was just saying, I've never been on the lake because I moved in the year after the dam blew out and it all became weedy, and I think the lake is gross, quite frankly. It's mucky, it's nasty, there are weeds everywhere. I would not swim in there. I don't even let my dog go in there. I don't live directly on the lake. I'm all for all of this. Clean the lake up, get it usable. But I can tell you, if you try to put a sand beach in, you're wasting your time. I was the president of Pillsbury Lake Management for several years when I first moved here. Fish and Game will not allow us to put a sand beach in. It's not good for the fish. So you can put a grass beach in, but you cannot put a sand beach in. We tried to restore the beach by the dam for years and years, worked on it, and could not get it done because they will not approve it.
We would
So-
welcome your experience and the history in the committee meetings, because these are the types of things we'll be discussing for the next year.
Okay, I'll try to make it.
So any other questions?
Make the motion to move.
Can I have a second?
I was trying to. I'd second that. I wasn't sure. Allison raised her hand at the same time.
Allison first, Debbie second.
Yeah, that's-
I was getting confused as to who was first.
Oh, I'm Susan McGinnis, I'm sorry, I didn't give.
No, I got your name. I know who you are.
Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? It passes. Article 10, to see if the village district will vote to authorize the commissioners to accept gifts of personal property other than cash to the village district for any public purposes. The authorization is in accordance with RSA 3195-E, shall remain in effect until rescinded by the vote of the village district meeting.
Ray, if I can just make a comment?
Sure.
So this is to avoid the issues we ran into with some of the donations from our previous commissioners. We want to be able to accept those things. I've got a printer that I don't need, and I want to just give to our clubhouse. But if we don't do this, then it's going to be a problem when I give the printer to our club. So we'd like to make it possible that just donations, my understanding is this is the same article or RSA that we use, that other village districts use to be able to do this transaction.
Any questions?
Tom McLean, do we have lots that are unbuildable that those people have indicated a desire to donate?
That would be now.
In a word, no.
Yeah, not that we know of.
That's more the town, right?
Town owns an awful lot of lots for not paying taxes.
Yeah, they auction them off sometimes.
There is a risk associated with receiving lots too. I do a lot of work at Salvation Army, and they get donated all types of buildings and lots and stuff. And actually, there's a cost associated with getting that stuff to clean it up and make it usable for something else. I don't know if you've run into the same things in our neighborhood, but at the same time, there is a risk associated with just accepting properties. But I believe when it comes to a property or an actual landmark, it has to go to a meeting like this, and then we'd all vote on it. If I had spare lots, I'd donate those too. I don't know if we could do it.
We'll take your printer.
Start the printer.
Take it tonight.
Any other questions on this article? Make a motion.
Move the question, Cindy, yes, sir.
Is that
Give a
a
second.
motion? Second. I'll second it, Donna Kenny. If nobody else.
All in favor? All opposed? Article 11, to see if the district will vote to purchase map 10, lot 44-55. This will help to satisfy the requirements of well number 8 for DES. The purchase price and cost will come from Concord Drive SRF, which passed at the 2020 annual meeting, warrant article number 2. Questions?
Yep, 2 questions. Why is Shelley making us purchase this land?
That's a great question. Andrew Conlon, 61 Rumford Drive. My comment on this is speak to Shelley Frost, NHDS. So Shelley came and visited us. A lot of us were able to attend when she came in person. There were a number of discrepancies to our water program. One of them is that well 8 is still under emergency use. She wants us to get it approved. As of today, Edgewater submitted our application for well 8's permitting, including the fact that we don't own the lot that we're supposed to own. So Shelley's encouraged us that we should be purchasing that lot, which is adjacent to well number 8. It's inside of the, I think it's 150-foot radius, or 200-foot radius.
This is
The sanitary protection zone. So Shelley's asking us to buy that land.
All right, 2 comments with that one. Because I was the one that and Ray also were the ones that put in well 8.
Yeah.
Shelley at the time okayed it. She didn't have a problem.
See, I wish you
with
were
that
around,
being there.
because
Yeah.
the way she remembers it a lot like is that we put a well in the ground, and then we came to her a little while later and asked if this was an okay
See,
location.
But at the same time, when we did put that emergency well in, because we went at an emergency, the next board was supposed to do that permit.
Yes,
We
so-
had 6 months.
We're on-
And why wasn't that
I think
done?
we're on year 3 of
Yes,
trying
we
to
are.
get well 8 permitted. I'm just on the tail end of it. We're on year 3. This has been in permitting. We're under the emergency use of well 8, which this is why I want to emphasize what Shelley's asked us in an email. Shelley's saying that the emergency use can be rescinded. The state can say you can no longer use well 8. And once, if they were to say that, we'd have to A, turn off well 8, which is going to be very tough for our system, or B, continue using it under the deficiency that she could potentially fine us per day that we're using a well we're not supposed to.
See, right now, well 8 is a money producer.
Yeah.
When they drilled, they found green oil.
Yeah.
Means a lot of water contact down there.
Mhm.
And question number 2, I would have to disagree with this article because you do not have the cost of what the land purchase is gonna be. I
That's-
think it should have been in the article.
That's the toughest part.
Up to $15,000, $20,000.
That is the toughest part, because we actually did reach out with an offer on MSRP, whatever the equivalent of that, she may be able to speak to it better, but we did reach out with an offer, it was denied, and it was asked for an increased price. So what we are hoping for, I'll tell you both sides of the spear, what we're hoping for with Abby at Edgewater is to push the application for well 8 to just be permitted, with the fact that we don't own the land next to it, making that okay, if the state can bless it, because it's not a buildable lot from our perspective too. But the second thing is that DES may require us to buy it, and to whatever the price be.
See, the only reason I'm against this article, because you're leaving it open-ended. It could be $100,000, and you guys can approve, if you guys, if we give you permission.
Right, and so the money can only come out of the Concord
I'm
Drive
just
project, so
saying.
it's just the water customers. The reason why we didn't do a price is because I think we're still hoping to get it lower. The price is 15,000 firm, and then the cost of the closing fees or whatnot. So we all kind of agree that we thought that was a little much for that lot, it's not really buildable, that kind of thing. So we kind of held off with Abby getting the contingency so that it's gonna be approved. The only way it will be a problem is if he actually built on it, and then we would have a problem. He won't give us the easement, so if we don't get well 8 approved, then we're gonna have a big problem, because if we don't get to use well 8 anymore, then we have literally almost no water, as you guys know.
So you can say
So that's
up
why
to
we.
15 tap.
So, well, we didn't do that because there's closing costs and things like that. We are hoping to get it lower, or maybe not even do it at all, but we have this in here in case DES comes back and says, we're not approving this unless you buy this property. And again, the money only comes out of the Concord Drive project, which we have 100,000 left, so we couldn't go over that. But if we need to do it, we need to do it. Well 8 is our water.
See, I
You
would have
have
said
a
up to 20.
legitimate concern. It would be nice to put a number and cap it in there. Now, trust us, we've already pushed back, and we wouldn't go for 15, so we're not gonna go higher or something. But the whole thing is, if you put a number in there and say not to exceed 20 grand, and then he reads this in the minutes and says, oh, I'm not gonna take 12, you've got 20 approved. So there's an other side to it.
Unfortunately.
I'm not happy.
But
Hey
again.
guys, we have another question on the floor, so can we?
Sorry, yeah,
whatever,
sorry.
She's been waiting a while, so and everybody keeps talking, so.
Well, just to cap it too, but again, to put it in perspective though, this property is 15 grand. The email that Shelley has emailed us says our fines will be as much as 4 grand a day. So it'd be 3 days of being fined for using well 8 within the restricted zone, which is a point that was brought up at the last monthly meeting, is that perception-wise, to be able to go like this with well 8 and all of Concord Drive, because Concord Drive's money's tied up with that too. It's just,
But I would go back to Shelley and say, hey, why did you approve it back then?
that's what we try, as like I said, her perception of it is different than your guys's.
Okay, we've got another question on the floor,
Forgive me.
please.
Debbie Groth here again. Has the board decided not to look at the 23 lots that we already own in Pillsbury Lake, of transferring a lot with this owner? Because that would not cost us anything besides some paperwork with the legal.
Our initial contact with the Realtor was that he asked for 15 grand large, firm, no counter offers. He's not interested in switching
I'm
properties.
sorry, but realtors, this should be a lawyer, the lawyer that we're paying for should be doing this, not a realtor for negotiating in there. And why did you not look at, it was brought up at meetings, it was suggested?
What, switching lots?
Yeah.
That's what I believe that was part of the conversation that our Realtor had with them. That's
Was
what
it?
I'm just saying. And he asked for 15 large.
Was the owner of the lot ever asked if he would be willing to swap lots with one of the 23 lots owned already?
I think we had an agreement that we were gonna send him a letter. We just we hadn't talked about whether we were gonna have a lawyer do it or a realtor do it.
Oh,
But I
right.
remember Michael suggesting, that a letter be sent, with a counter offer. And we haven't gotten to that yet because we've been trying to do other things.
We don't
So
want
instead-
We also need to have this passed to do it anyways.
Right.
Not, okay, not the way it's written.
So I can speak to that. The board asked me, I'm Allison Scott, your
Right.
local realtor, and the board asked me to investigate the property. And and if this does go through, I have a minimum fee that I am waiving because as a service.
Can you speak louder?
Louder? Okay. Gosh, I always have problems so loud. Microphone? Okay. So I'm Allison Scott, Centennial Drive. So the board came to me and asked me for my professional services and my professional advice. I was stating that if this does move forward, the minimum fee that's typically charged, I am waiving to the community as a service. Because I understand this is something that not anyone wants to do, it may be something that has to be done. So I'm offering my services at a very minimal charge. And those are disclosed, I can provide and have provided closing disclosed an estimate, which are all set fees. I did not ask the seller, if he were willing to exchange lots. That's out of my realm. That's not what a realtor does. We buy and sell property. So that would have to be a different conversation. However, when I did speak to the landowner, he was very firm. There wasn't any wiggle room. He said $15,000 firm, if they like it, that's what they have to pay for. So, those are the facts so far. Yes.
Susan Lawrence, do you have to hire a surveyor if you're gonna do something like that? So that would be an additional cost.
A survey is not required to transfer property, so that would be up to if the landowner wanted it surveyed, he could survey it, or if the board decided they needed it surveyed, but it's not necessary. Who's first? I don't know.
So, from my time as selectman and commissioner, it's my recollection that land negotiations can be and should be done behind closed doors, not in a public session.
Okay.
And I believe that we should move this question and vote it up, and then let the commissioners do their job.
Okay, very good, and thank you for that, and we can certainly do that, and this is just so that they can pursue. It's not saying yes or no, it's just giving them permission to pursue it, nothing that can be done behind the door.
Well, it says I'm sorry, McGinnis, it says vote to purchase, so we're not just giving them permission to pursue it, we're giving them permission to purchase the land.
Yeah, maybe we should edit it.
Pursue it to purchase.
So that's
You can't
giving you
have it.
permission to purchase that land, which it sounds like we really don't have an option, because if they close down, well, I'm not on the water district, it doesn't, I'm not on the water system, it doesn't affect me directly, but people need water. My neighbors need water. So it sounds like we have no choice. And if the guy's firm, he's firm. I mean, he's not a community member, I guess, so he doesn't have I mean, if it was one of us and we had extra land, we might be willing to sell it at a discount or something, but this sounds like someone who's just interested in getting the money. And it sounds like we don't have a choice, or we have to dig another well, which is going to be very expensive. So I would urge people to vote yes on this, and I'm sure they'll get the best price they can for the property.
Kevin Coyle, Centennial Drive. Just two quick questions. One, it's yet to be determined whether or not the state will permit or not, because where this well 8 sits next to this small parcel of land.
Exactly.
Which, has it been, and then my second question, has it been definitively, is the state giving us a defined answer, is this piece of land not buildable in any way? Either for private use or for public use. If it's if you can't develop this parcel of land, my question, I guess, is back to the commissioners in their negotiation with the state. I see no reason why we have to worry about trying to purchase this piece of property.
It's sufficient size to be built. It's really not particularly well sloped and located.
I mean, the question is, period, is it a piece of land that can be developed in any way?
Yes.
Yeah,
So on the map,
so
there's
that's the question.
restrictions.
So that's the answer. So I would support the question as well, because if we are forced to purchase a land because he wants to develop something, or sell to somebody else that wants to develop something, and then it's too close to the well to abide by state guidelines, then we kind of have to support the article. And hopefully,
it's the only way to give us the latitude to respond if all of a sudden the state clamps down.
And not try to extort more money from the Pillsbury Lake District.
So Dave was next. Still have a question?
So my only comment on the buildability of that lot is it's probably a wetland, and it probably can't get a septic permit.
I would like to ask you to vote in favor of it because we still have $100,000 of money that we could be using to the water system that cannot be accessed until this well number 8 is permanently permitted. Thank you.
Good point.
Move the question?
You have
Second.
a question? A second?
Lisa Robinson.
She's good.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
I'm gonna say
Tom McWilliams, I'd like to restrict access to Articles 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12.
I will second that. Can't do 12.
Can't do
Yeah.
12.
Yeah.
I even second.
Andrew seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so we have the votes in. So for Commissioner, Andrew at 46 votes, Lisa at 26 votes, Michael at 46 votes. For Treasurer, Jamie, 44 votes. For Clerk, Allison, 14, Gary French, 1, Don Kinley, 1.
All right.
Almost didn't like. Moderator, 1 term. Ray Scott, 9. Allison Scott, 3. That's all we really need to go. And then for auditor, Phil Strumatter, 31.
For the 2-year commission seat, there was another candidate.
attending voting.
So 49 ballots checked in, 48 votes were cast.
I think what Michael's asking is, can you read on each, on the opposed, any commissioner for, he wanted the number? Is that what you were asking, Michael?
Which one?
Yeah, there was a second candidate for the,
Debbie had 17.
No.
No,
for
from
the 2-year seat.
Commissioner.
Oh, Commissioner, I'm sorry. Mark had 20.
What did you say?
He's had 20.
Lisa had 26. Okay.
Who's on it?
We're done?
You're done with that?
Oh, no, we had to read the Article 4.
Article 12.
Yeah, we have 12. Do you have a question?
not to be causing problems, but Allison was voted into 2 positions, is that correct?
No. No, she was voted in as clerk.
Clerk.
Someone wrote her in as moderator against her husband.
Okay.
Did you do that, Georgette?
Did you do that? Families are gonna be
I would gladly give it to her.
She's the clerk.
But she's a clerk. Okay, Article 11, Article 12, to transact any other business that may come up during this meeting or before this meeting, so.
So, I don't know if that even applies to this meeting, but I would like the board to investigate, if it's possible to incorporate a dog park into our community.
Peter, can you say that again?
I would
People
like
up
the
here
board
can hear.
to investigate if we could incorporate a dog park into our community with an existing property or whatever the case may be. Cool?
I would suggest that's an excellent idea, and this is the stems of how Michael became the lightning bolt that got the Lover Lake Committee started, that got me to introduce him, and now I'm on that thing too. The ideas, those are excellent ideas. If you come to some of these meetings, you see the notices on Facebook. I think we throw them up on the website too. But that's exactly what the idea is. Like just anything to bring folks together, whatever we can do as a community. That seems like it's relatively little money, but relatively high value. So that's a great idea to bring those along. I wrote it down here too, so we could discuss in the public meeting. But it's just an opportunity in the Lover Lake meeting is so that the public meeting doesn't drain on for hours and hours and hours, because we get descriptive, we get narrative, we talk a lot, myself included. But the Lover Lake Committee, that's a perfect time to do that, because then we can have the sidebar conversations, we can nail down on details and all that too. But I appreciate you guys.
Georgette Batchelor. I would like to propose that the commissioners accept the fact that we would like to set up a committee to be responsible for the clubhouse, whether the social activities and to helping with whatever chores can be done, whether it's pass a paintbrush when they get done the bathrooms and stuff. But I'd like to see a committee approved that we could do this, so just look into the rentals and things like that, so that we could open the clubhouse and use it again.
Please bring that to the next monthly PLDD meeting.
Tom McLean, I would like to see a notification, email or mass phone notification when the water goes out, that the water is out, and that we expect it to come back on whenever, or we don't know when it's going to come back on, because it's very disturbing to turn on the water and there's nothing there. And then you wait and wait and wait and wait, and eventually it comes back on. But there's no real notification that, at least to me, there's been no notification that the water is out. Here's why. Could be a bunch of different reasons why. You probably know what the reason is. It would be good if I just knew what the reason was.
Tom, are you on our MailChimp? Do you ever get emails from us?
No, never.
Okay, so yeah, you need to sign up for that.
I've signed up several times.
Okay, well, we have a new clerk, Allison Scott, and I will do this. If you give me your email address, I will make sure that Allison and I get you on there. We do, unfortunately, when Gary was our clerk, it worked out well because he was home during the day. So when we're all at work during the day, we're just like getting a notification, or someone will send me a message on Facebook, and then I'll reach out to these guys or something. So we don't generally know ahead of time if it's during the day, but if anybody isn't part of the email chimp, is that what it's called? Email chimp system, just get me your email address. Alice and I will get together and get you in the system. We'll do a test run after we get new people in there.
I have something. I'm going to say this out here so everybody can hear me.
She likes that microphone.
I like the microphone. So, there's a group that has a little Facebook, we have a little Facebook group, and no one is meant to be excluded. And it just so happens tomorrow evening, I'm hosting a dinner in my house, and if you aren't in that thread, let me know, you're invited. We have this group, they're much more social than I am. I usually don't show up, but I did volunteer to host. So it's, ladies, sorry guys, they're not, I'm gonna show up tomorrow though, I'm coming tomorrow. So, just in the Dana community, there's some new people here and a couple new faces, and I just wanna make sure everybody is included. There's nobody meant to be excluded. So if you're not on that, Facebook Messenger group, and you want to be, come see me, and, ladies only, sorry, dinner at my house 6:30. So, tomorrow night. So, you're all welcome, so, and I hope to see you in one of the others, if I'm not there.
Any other questions? Business? The meeting adjourned at...
You gotta make a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Get moved to adjourn the meeting?
I will second it.
7:43.
Okay. Anybody who was elected, you need to come up and get sworn in.
Oh, that's
Thank you.